This video is about how the Byzantine Empire never existed, because it was just the Roman Empire. They called themselves Romani and called their state Romania, the land of the Romans. As sole monarch of this YouTube channel, anyone who dares call it Byzantine will be severely punished, their swag declared null and void in the eyes of gods and men. I also want to clarify that during these 2 months in which I haven't uploaded, I've been hard at work researching, meeting with specialists, both human and raccoons, synthesizing all the data I used for this video. Now let's get into why it was just the Roman Empire and where the term Byzantine comes from. Constantinople was founded in 330 by Emperor Constantine. Yeah, I know, what a shocker. He was always more focused on the eastern part of the empire, because that's where all the hot Greek dudes were, and he decided he needed to build a new Roman capital on the Bosphorus. For that purpose, he yoinked the ancient city of Byzantium and put it under imperial jurisdiction. On the 11th of May 330, the festivities for the inauguration of Constantinople took place. Chariot races were held in the hippodrome between the traditional blue, green, red and white teams. After the games, the citizens were welcome to chill at the Zeuxippos, the bathhouse complex that featured several dozen statues of the heroes of the Trojan War and other figures related to Roman religion and mythology. On the Forum of Constantinople there stood temples and statues of Roman deities, namely Artemis and Apollo, and a statue of Constantine himself, embodying the Sun Emperor archetype that Augustus had pioneered in Rome. Constantinople's forum featured all the political institutions of a Roman capital, chief amongst them the Senate. At this point in time, Constantinople was perhaps the most Roman city of all, deliberately built to emphasize Roman culture and identity. The shaping of the city of Constantine is evident materially, conceptually and narratively, orchestrated by Constantine himself to legitimize the new city as a worthy capital of the empire. When Emperor Theodosius dies in 395, he divides the empire in two, west and east, and this is where Constantinople became a de facto capital. Two halves of the empire, the western under Rome and the eastern under Constantinople, ruled by his two sons, Arcadius in the east and Honorius in the west. This was done mainly for two reasons: to prevent a civil war for the succession, which worked, and to better organize the empire against external enemies, which failed catastrophically. The empire had for centuries been loosely divided into these two regions or spheres of influence, but in 395 they became two Roman empires, with separate armies, economies and legislative bodies, while still sharing the same Roman identity, values and traditions. During the 5th century, both Western and Eastern empires had to contend with pressure from foreign invaders. While the eastern part managed to hold against the invaders, the Western Empire was less successful when it came to the invasions of the Germanic tribes. In 476, Odoacer, king of the Ostrogoths, invaded Rome and managed to put an end to the Western Empire. Odoacer deposed child Emperor Romulus Augustus and sent a delegation of Roman senators to Constantinople to deliver to the Eastern Emperor Zeno the imperial regalia, with a message that basically argued that the empire did not need two emperors. Zeno would be the emperor and Odoacer would rule Italy as a kingdom under vassalage of the empire. Emperor Zeno agreed to this proposition, decreeing that Odoacer should rule Italy according to Roman customs and traditions, which obviously did not happen. What was this dude thinking? Although Odoacer had professed his loyalty to Zeno, he ruled Italy as he wished, and Zeno had no practical way of assuming full control of the western provinces, as the Eastern Roman legions were too busy dealing with the Danube frontier. From this point onward, the Western Roman government ceased to effectively exist, the provinces broken apart and ruled by various different Germanic tribes. Even though the Western Roman polity had collapsed, the Eastern emperors never gave up their claims on the Western territories, and in 540 Emperor Justinian launched a campaign that came close to unifying the Roman Empire's former territories. He managed to make decent conquests in Italy and in Africa, but only because he hit the recruit new general button and managed to get the god general Belisarius, who carried the military campaign into the late game. His success was short-lived, though, and he lost his newly acquired territories as soon as he got them, ultimately learning the meaning of the term overextension. The Eastern emperors never gave up their claims over the Western provinces, but Justinian was the only one that came even close to restoring them. During the centuries 5, 6, and 7, yeah, you guys roasted my pronunciation of ordinal numbers, so how good does this sound? Is it better? In the centuries 5, 6, and 7, the popes of Rome recognized the Eastern Emperor as the one and only Roman Emperor. Likewise, the people of the Western provinces still recognized Romania as the one and only Roman Empire, even if they referred to the citizens of the empire as Greeks and ethnikos. From the 9th and 10th centuries onward, we see a clear shift in the perception of Romania by Western populations and leaders, which was materialized when Pope Leo III crowned the Frankish king Charlemagne as the Roman Empire in the year 800. His Roman Empire comprised territories in modern-day France, Germany, and Italy, and was called the Holy Roman Empire. This marks a revival of the title of Roman Emperor in the West, but it also signifies a clear and official rejection of Romania as the Roman state. Not only that, but the state of Romania was robbed of its Roman identity. It was labeled as a Greek empire, not a Roman one. Another event that would solidify this rejection of Romania by the West is the East-West Schism of 1054, when the Western Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church formally cut ties. They had been disagreeing over scripture and doctrine for centuries, and that's a whole subject of its own, but here I call upon this event for its political significance. From this point forward, and where Western mentality was concerned, there was no Roman Empire in the East, there was no rightful Christian church on the East, there were only Greeks who called themselves Romans and held heretical beliefs and practices of Christianity. This is the mentality upon which medieval and modern writers relied to characterize and classify what the state of Romania was, and this is the mentality and ideological basis on which our historical traditions are rooted. To legitimize their Holy Roman Empire and the supremacy of their Catholic Roman Church, the Western sphere wrote Romania out of history. They could not eliminate it, so they decided to ostracize it and misrepresent it. No one is more guilty of this erasure than Hieronymus Wolff, a German historian from the 16th century who lived in the Holy Roman Empire. He is responsible for popularizing the term Byzantine Empire, which comes from the term Byzantium, the fortress that stood in the Bosphorus before Constantine decided to build his capital. Reframing it as a Byzantine Empire not only divorces Romania from its unquestionable Roman identity, but also from the city of Constantinople itself. It's not even the Empire of Constantinople, it's the Empire of Byzantium, the insignificant fortress. He is also responsible for pushing forward the notion that 476 marks the complete and total fall of the Roman Empire. I have spent this entire video arguing against this notion, and I think it's clear why. Political scientist Roy Casagrande speculates that, in rewriting history like this, Hieronymus achieves two important goals. He firstly establishes the fall of the empire solely on the hands of his German ancestors, which was likely to rouse proto-nationalistic or patriotic sentiments in the hearts of the German citizens. And on the other hand, he can ignore the truth that Romania, the Roman Empire, fell in 1453 to the Muslim Ottoman Turks, whom the Europeans hated with a fiery passion. Even if we can't know for sure why he did this, the material evidence and the recent revolution in the study of Romania lets me confidently say that this perspective is wrong and fundamentally propagandistic. There was a Roman Empire in the East that existed continually from 395 all the way to 1453. The people saw themselves as Romans and had a Greco-Roman cultural identity. The ruler called himself Roman Emperor, and the state referred to itself officially as Basileia Romanum, or some variation of this term. Basileia Romanum, the kingdom of the Romans. Basically, the correct term to call it is Romania. You can call it Eastern Roman Empire if you'd like to distinguish it from the classical empire, or you can just call it Roman Empire because that's what it was and there was no other Roman Empire. I mean, you wouldn't call Roman Empire to any other pretender empires in Europe now, would you? Look at me. That one is neither holy, nor Roman, nor an empire. You know what happens to naughty boys here in the Raccoon channel. Thanks for watching and subscribe, god damn it, bye!